Okay, I want to see it. Okay. So let's remember this number, 21,200, because I'm going to add something else if I can find it. Okay. I'm not sure if we mentioned before, but analytics contains all data that was ever in ALMA, including deleted data. So if you delete a bib record or an item record or a user, that is still in here. And whenever you run a report, you should always think whether or not you want to filter out anything that was deleted. And most of the time, you probably will want to filter that out. So I don't want to know circ stat. Let's say, in this case, I don't want to know circ stats for things that no longer exist in our collection. I'm not a fulfillment person, so that you might not care about that, but just for display purpose or instruction purposes, let's pretend that's true. So bibliographic, so I want to make sure I don't have anything that's a deleted bib record. So there is something called lifecycle. And you can have a lifecycle for titles, you could have a lifecycle for items. I think for users it's just called active or deleted.
Yeah.
So there's different terminology depending on what you're looking at, but we're going to add a column here for bibliographic lifecycle. Whoops, oh, I'm not in criteria. Oops. Okay. And we're going to run this again. And I'm hoping Trinity actually deletes bibs, so I'm hoping we'll get two different numbers. Sure enough, so there was circ data for three things that have been deleted, and then here this number is slightly lower. So that's just a good thing to always remember. Do you want to filter out everything that was deleted and then figure out how you want to do that and where you want to do that? Oh, now I'm kind of curious. Is there item location? So under item details, there's also a life cycle. There it is. Now I'm kind of curious. Ah, shoot. I'm curious if we should get different things for deleted items and deleted bibs. Nope, it's the same. That's interesting. Anyway, that was just a curiosity thing. I'm going to delete that. And bibliographic lifecycle, I'm going to filter to active. Or in repository. You get a lot of different terminology. Was there a question? Nope. Okay. Now, often, especially this filtering for what's active or what's in the repository, you often put that in there, but then you don't really need to see that anymore. So this is a case where you would want to delete the column, but that filter is still in the bottom. So that's a pretty common thing that you might do. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. So some of the things that oops, right, so we still have our single line. I'm going to do some things that might not actually be that practical, like you might not want to create this report, but just to show you some different functionality.
Rebecca,
yeah.
Did you want to mention filtering for in-house versus non-in-house loans?
Oh, I didn't know. That's a good one. So we got this measurement of loans, and in ALMA and in analytics, that includes both things that circulate outside of the library and in-house browses. From Voyager, we're used to thinking about a loan goes outside of the library, a browse stays in the library. And ALMA uses the same word loans for everything. It's a little confusing because an in-house equals browses and not in-house equals everything that went out of the library. like an actual checkout. Is that correct? Is that the way you understand it?
Is it browsers or is it also when something goes like kind of work order or goes into
I think it's both.
yeah.
Oh, so in-house includes.
I think it might include things that like that have been
Yeah, like interdepartment things.
they go into like let's say an acquisitions work order.
In-house use is just in-house use separate from a worker. Because when you're scanning it, there's the register in-house use checkbox.
Yeah, so I think.
Yeah.
So if that's not checked,
Check that, then it would just be
it would not get counted.
But there is a in-house use indicator.
Yes, so that's what we're going to look at. In-house loan indicator.
Are items considered in-house use?
It's just an in-house use, so it's not linked to a page.
Okay, so now I have it split up. So in-house, it's kind of counterintuitive, I find. So the N for not in-house means things that are actually being checked out of the library. So it is associated with the patron. The patron checked it out. And for yes, in-house loan indicator equals yes, that means it was just a browse. There's no patron attached to it. It was just, sitting somewhere and it got scanned at a circ desk. So it's kind of amazing. They're almost equivalent numbers. That's a lot of in-house use. I'm going to filter for not in-house, I think, for what I want to do next. So I'm filtering. It's another drop-down. It's very common to get a lot of drop-down options for your filters. So we're down to one line again. We still have one line. So I'm going to do something a little weird here. You could, there are bibliographic details, we could add titles. And I'm going to add author as well. Where did it go? So I'm not going to click results right now because we'd get 10,000 lines. What I am instead going to do is filter on the number of loans. And instead of equals to, I'm going to pick is greater than and the number 10. Or you could pick any number you want. So we have a new filter. So now if I click results, we're going to see the titles of anything that circulated more than 10 times. I'm going to change it to 5 to see if we get more titles. That's kind of interesting. So you can edit a filter. If I hover over that bottom filter, let's change this to 5. See what we get. Oh, we get a lot more. That's nice. So this could be interesting to see, like, what are your most popular books in the collection? What gets checked out the most? Wow, history of universities. And what's lockers? Is that like a
Lockers.
That's actual lockers. That's yeah.
Can you do a real-time sort by clicking the arrows up?
You I think so. That's yep. Yeah. Yeah. So there we go.
So Rebecca, how would you filter that to exclude the lockers and carols? If you're,
Yeah, we could do this.
circulating
Okay.
materials?
Yes. Oh, I wonder, do those have specific material types that are different than books? Let's say we just want to filter out these two. Like if you're running a large report, you might want to find some kind of common factor. But this is actually good because I wanted to show that that is like or not is like pattern match. Like if you're looking for specific keywords. So we'll use this as a good example of that kind of filter.
Could be a mix just based on how they've been cataloged historically. It's been a mix of things.
Yeah. Let me get my title. So thesis, carols, and lockers. Okay, so filtering for free text is a little sometimes unpredictable. So we're gonna change this. Actually, just to show you how this sometimes does not work the way we want. Is carols 2 L's?
2 R's, 1 L.
Thank you.
They're listed as books in the catalog.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So I did does not contain, and let's see what happens. This might not behave the way I expect. See, it's still in there.
Because it's case sensitive.
Yeah, let's try it. So all of these searches are case sensitive. So let's see if we get it. If we make it capital, I still think it might not work because it's not the entire field; it's just part of the field. And if I'm going too fast, I'm kind of zipping through this. Oh, it did work. Excellent. So it's case sensitive. The other option that we could have, so we're going to also add one for lockers, just because we can. So another option that I tend to use, just I've had better luck with it, but it looks like contains sometimes works, is this pattern match. And for this, you often use wildcards. For some reason in analytics, the wildcard is a % sign, not an asterisk, not a question mark. So I'm going to add % lockers. So I said not like, and sure enough, it's gone.
So I'm just wondering, I mean, you could exclude things mistakenly that way. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Book about lockers.
Absolutely, yeah. So I don't think that's the best way to try to exclude some of these things because we could have gotten false positives on that. I just wanted to show that, like, the free text. When you're working in your own institution and you really know your data, you might have known that those kinds of things had a certain material type or something that would have made sense to filter them out.
Yeah, if you know exactly what you're looking for, like if you know you want to, if you know you want to exclude the carols or the lockers, you can actually do an exact match search.
Yes.
But then if you go a little bit further past the basic search filter screen, you can search for precise pieces of data to filter out.
So would you do a different operator?
Yeah, it'd be an exact match operator. And if you click the binoculars next to the drop-down screen,
Yeah. It finds it.
you have to type it in again.
Okay. There it is. Oops. How do I feel like it's not showing the whole screen.
Well, I think it's because you already have it filtered that way. But if
Okay.
you actually type in carols
Okay.
and search for that,
But I'm gonna have to change. Whoops! I did it again.
and then search for that,
Contain search.
click on that, the arrow to move it over, and now you can search. You can do the exclusion or searching for both at the same time.
Yeah, I think my screen is sort of not showing me.
So if there was a book called something Carols, that will also have shown up.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Where did all this come from?
Carols.
Maybe, although nothing is showing up. I'm not seeing anything that would make sense to have carols in the title.
I think what it was doing was loading essentially every option that it was
Yeah.
finding in that field.
Holy
And so that's
cow.
why it takes a while because it was pulling from the whole database.
So this is like all titles ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes the drop-down lists, if you're looking at a drop-down with a lot of options, they don't contain everything. So you have to go into this more targeted search to find what you need to filter.
There it is. That's nice. I didn't know about that one. That's really good.
And you can actually, if you have the exact data you need, like if you have a list of ISBN numbers, you
Yeah.
can build these multi-stage filters yourself. You just need to add a semicolon in between each piece of information.
Wow. So there's a lot of complex filters that you can do. And you can just add them all up. In your experience, the other trainers has it mattered what order you put the filters in?
Or only if you're using ors and ands.
That's true. I'm not gonna go into detail about that, but You see we have all these Boolean operators here, so you can change things. Which then you have to really be careful about how they're nested.
How do you nest? Those are all kind of sequences. Is there nesting?
They're not right now because they're all ands. I think we're going to wait until the next because that's getting more complicated. So that's something we should write down to include or make a note to include that. Okay. Any questions? So I think this was kind of like the basics of filters and was about as much as we were going to show today. Any questions so far? Okay, let's do a little bit of form.